Terrifier 3 is the third film in the independent-made horror franchise, the first film since 2022's Terrifier 2. In this film, this movie takes place 5 years after the events of Terrifier 2, and this time Art the Clown is not alone. He's joined by the lone survivor of the events of the first film, who is Victoria, once again played by Samantha Scafidi, and also Art the Clown continues to be played by David Howard Thornton. And this one also, Sienna is back after her rehabilitation after the events of Terrifier 2, but she still is haunted by visions that Art the Clown is not dead and still wants to get his revenge on Sienna. Also back from Terrifier 2 is Jonathan, who is Sienna's brother, played by Elliot Fulham. And you also have some new characters of Sienna's new family: Jessica, played by Margaret Anna Florence, Greg, played by Bryce Johnson, and Gabby, played by Antonella Rose. The film is 2 hours and 5 minutes long and is not rated. Welcome back to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max, and we're talking Terrifier 3 here on the channel. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring that bell so you're notified when my new videos drop. I do movie and TV show reviews, out-of-theater reactions, movie franchise rankings, and box office show every single Tuesday, which is releasing the same day as this review. So please tune into that as well. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Terrifier 3? Let me know your non-spoiler thoughts. I am probably on Thursday or Friday gonna post a full spoiler review of Terrifier 3, probably Thursday for Terrifier 3. So if you're save your spoiler thoughts for that video. But let me know if you saw it, did you like it, did you not like it? If you have not seen it, tell me, have you even seen this franchise? Will you watch the franchise and then go see this new movie in theaters? And also, please like the video. So I am not going to act like I'm an OG Terrifier fan. I knew the rumblings of this franchise for the last 8 years, but it was never a franchise that I watched. Even in the Los Angeles area where I lived during the first two movies when they came out, they weren't really playing in my theaters, so I just never thought about seeing them. But there's a lot of rumblings about a lot of positivity with Terrifier 3. So I want to do my job as a critic to give you the reviews on all of these movies. And so I took the time of homework and watched both Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2 in preparation for Terrifier 3. And I will be doing a full ranking video for the franchise Thursday or Friday as well. So I will be talking about all three movies here on the channel. So that's my inkling. But I'll say this, I have now become a massive fan of this franchise, like massive. And this franchise feels very similar to Saw, where Saw came out. It was a very much an independent movie, but even like Terrifier is even more independent. $35,000 budget for the first one, around like $250,000 to make the second movie. And this movie, it was a $2 million budget compared to the Saw movies, which got pretty still cheap, but not super expensive throughout its franchise run. But they still had, again, familiar actors, and here they're very much not familiar actors in these roles. But I'll say this about Terrifier 3. I had a great theater experience. I didn't have I saw piece by piece on Friday, so I had to wait to see Terrifier 3 on Monday. But I went to a 2 o'clock showing of Terrifier 3, and it was sold out, clearly full of Terrifier fans. And as someone who obviously has now become a fan in the last 2 weeks, it was a really great theater experience to see how people would react to particular kills or story beats or things or comedic beats. And the biggest thing I respect about the franchise, and really this film more than any other film in the franchise, is that it really is no holds barred. Meaning, yes, the movie is not rated, but there really are no set rules that other mainstream horror films have to do. And now what that leads to with this movie is that there's a couple times where I did tell myself people are going to think this movie went too far. But I think the idea that it's so chaotic, there really are no restrictions. The creators of the movie can do whatever they want, means that there really is, you have no idea what is going to happen next. And there's so many horror films where a big killer maybe walks by a kid, or walks by a school, or walks by an elderly lady. And you're kind of telling yourself, well, this is a mainstream Universal or Blumhouse movie, and they're not really going to cross any lines. But this movie doesn't just tiptoe over the line. It wants to run through so many lines in this movie, and that made it really entertaining. Now, yes, let's start with what everyone wants to hear about, which is the gore and the kills, and they are completely amped up once again, just like two was better than one in that region. And this movie goes for here. And I think the idea that this movie is a kind of it is a Christmas movie, I think makes the movie a lot more entertaining as well as you see by Art is trying to become Santa Claus, and there's a lot of like uplifting Christmas music throughout while Art the Clown is doing his very villainous things. So many times people have tried to do with these horror themed Christmas movies, but I think this movie really nailed balancing the tone of doing a Christmas movie and this all-time gory horror movie. And I think even with the effects being better and the fact that now director Damien Leone is not doing all of the special effects himself anymore, the effects in this movie are just amazing. And yes, you could tell in the first, maybe some parts of the second film that, and even in this film, are there times where there's blood gushing out too much on something that couldn't do that? Of course. But you kind of, the film knows its audience and knows exactly what they're going for. And while, yes, some of these kills might not be realistic, the sounds of these things and the look of it feel very realistic, especially the sounds. That could be very grotesque. This movie has, I think, really good to have two iconic kill scenes. I'll say the scene with Santa Claus at the bar was probably my favorite sequence in the entire movie because it had great comedy, really intense horror, and some really good kills in there. The bathroom scene will also be, I think, very memorable. And the fact that now Art is working with Victoria was a very interesting dynamic that the franchise really hasn't done yet. Um, and I really enjoyed their dynamic. Sienna has also become one of the best final girls in horror of the last 2 decades. Sienna, who again was not in the first movie, she became the final girl in the second film, which is very rare to see in a horror franchise. But Lauren Lavera as Sienna is fantastic. And without her grounding the movie in reality and making you care about her character, they're really, yes, you can have fun watching Art kill people, but you need that story or a character that you can latch onto. And even though you like seeing Art kill a lot of people, this is the one character or characters that you don't want Art to touch. And that character is Sienna, who has been through so much in these two movies. But Lauren Lavera, I think, sinks her teeth even more. The film could have gone down the easy route, which of she's grieving after the events of Terrifier 2, and you can just make her someone who kind of thinks she's going crazy. But the movie actually tackles a lot of complex themes, not just with her, but again, her and her brother had to survive the events of Terrifier 2, and the Sienna and Jonathan relationship and how their relationship has completely changed, and the way that they're going about recovering from the events of the second film have changed their lives, but they're handling it completely differently. And I really enjoyed that. The two of them experienced the same thing, but both took two completely different directions of how they're going to handle their lives moving forward beyond that. So I thought that was a really smart move. Gabby was another good person to put in. It's always good to have kids in these type of movies. And the Gabby and Sienna relationship, I actually, again, really cared for. The movie is really beautifully shot, great cinematography. As I said, the special effects, costume design, makeup continue to be fantastic. This movie is also probably the funniest film of the whole franchise. It is a really funny movie, especially one scene where Art is listening to, let's just say, a conversation, and he starts reacting to things that they are saying. Very funny. As I said, the Santa Claus scene can be very funny, but it's not like hilarious moments that pulls you out of the serious, intense moments. It's really good levity when you're getting into those dicey moments. Again, if you don't like the first Terrifier movies, I'm not sure that this movie will suddenly get you back into the franchise. If you're a massive fan now, like I am, of the first two movies, this is exactly what we want out of Terrifier films. And Art the Clown, for me, has become one of the most iconic horror villains of all time. On a negative, though, the one story beat that I wish was more utilized in the movie was Jonathan. I said I like the Jonathan Sienna dynamic. That was really good. But Jonathan, for being like the second main character of the last movie, is very much put on the sideline multiple times throughout the film. And I feel like I get Sienna obviously is the main focus, but because they have Sienna and Jonathan completely split apart for most of the movie, Jonathan just feels like very much on the sidelines. Because again, there's three things we're keeping track of, which is Sienna, her stuff, Jonathan, and obviously Art going around killing people with Victoria. But Jonathan got the short end of the string as it pertains to screen time and development. So I wish that Jonathan stuff was more inserted into the forefront. And there are a couple questions I wanted answered in the movie that from the second movie that we don't get answers to. Now I know they're going to keep making these movies, probably two more, but still, I would like a little bit more answers to the lore in this film. But overall, this is for me. I'm going to be really high on this movie more than most people. I love the Terrifier franchise, and I really love this movie, and I can't wait to rewatch it multiple times. I'm going to give Terrifier 3 a 4.5 out of 5, 85%. What are your thoughts on Terrifier 3? I'm doing a ranking video and a spoiler review of this movie in the coming days, so stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon.